I'm Mike Gelfman, and I'm founder of the Disruption Institute. Today I'm going to be interviewing Spencer Schubert, who's a sculptor at his own studios, and he's done amazing sculptures and statues of Bill Snyder, who's the Hall of Fame coach for the K-State Wildcats. He's done, Buck O'Neil and a ton of other great work. And Spencer talks a lot about how he doesn't believe in talent, how it's really hard work that helps to cultivate greatness. And a lot of people are asking why we're doing this Streetcar Stories series, and we're talking to a lot of the people that we do that don't necessarily have to do with code, which is what the Disruption Institute is. We teach people to code. The importance is to be great, to do great things, and to build great things. You have to have the right mindset. All these entrepreneurs and all these people we're talking to, they've done things at a high level, and those are things that you can learn from. This is episode 12 of Streetcar Stories.
My name is Spencer Schubert, and I'm a sculptor in Kansas City. So I do all of the busts for the Hall of Famous Missourians in the Missouri State Capitol. Did a portrait bust of Mr. Kansas City, Buck O'Neil. I created the statue of Hall of Fame football coach Bill Snyder in front of K-State's football stadium. I just finished a 16-foot tall monument for Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas, and I always knew that I wanted to be a sculptor. Well, not always. From the time I knew that that was a job someone had. Artists have to be entrepreneurs if they want to be artists. There's no going to get a job of sculptor typically. And really at the beginning I was just scrapping. Just any job that I could get where I'm making something for a paycheck I would take. And you're constantly pushing your agenda forward, trying to, I can make you anything, but what I really do is this. After 4 years of doing that, the commissions just kind of started slowly trickling in, and now the only thing I do is make big pieces of clay look like people and cast them in bronze. I think a lot of us are afraid of failure or afraid of making bad work, but like a really good way to make a little bit of great art is to make a lot of bad art, right? And like the only way that you can create something good is by being okay with creating something terrible at first. Nobody is good, and I think Ira Glass has a really good blurb about when in the beginning you're terrible, but you have good taste, and so you know what you want and you know you're not there. And I think that that moment is the distinction between people who go on to make great things and the people who don't. If you can have the courage in that moment to be honest with yourself and say, what I just made that took all of my heart and soul was terrible, or at least not as good as I want it to be, if you can have the courage to say that to yourself, then you are going to be great if you give yourself time. You have to get better, because everybody is terrible at the beginning, and that's the big secret nobody talks about, is that everybody is I was terrible at this in the beginning, and I didn't want to be terrible, and I knew that was going to take a lot of work, and I literally spent 3 years trying to make portrait busts that looked like people, and then one day finally I was like, hey, that's not that bad. If I had waited until I was capable of making the sculptures I am capable of making today to start making sculptures, I would never have gotten to where I am today. Because people use the word talent when they don't see all the process, and I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours making it right. That's not talent. That's just hard work, right? It just so happens that I'm making clay look like people. But that's the deal. It's hard work, which is great, because hard work you can control. Like talent is this thing that you either have or you don't. I don't buy that. Like and even if it may be true, I don't want to buy that, right? Because I can't control that. I can control whether or not I work my tail off today. But I think that controlling the media that you consume is huge, and there's never been a better time than now to do that. I only listen to things that reinforce the person that I want myself to be these days. There's no excuse for consuming any media that doesn't enrich you and make you feel better right now, because you can have there's 500 podcasts that will tell you how to be a better person on your iPhone right now. I'm a huge believer in the Stoic philosophy of Stoicism. There are things that you can control and things that you cannot control, and spending any time focused on the things you can't control is just going to bring you pain. And that's a hard thing to kind of wrap your brain around, especially when it gets into nuance. Like, we all have bad days, but the reality is you can choose to be happy or sad. Some days it's harder to choose to be happy. Some days it's easier to choose to be sad, but the choice is still yours. That's where, these days, that's where most of my get up and go in the morning comes from. this riding on this streetcar is insane. I don't feel like I'm in the Kansas City I grew up in, right? I feel like I'm a tourist in my own town, and I don't know if that is like dollar for dollar bottom line makes complete sense, but that's a terrible measure sometimes, right? But the fact that it's a Friday afternoon at like, what time is it? 2 o'clock, and all these people are on this. All these people are on this streetcar right now. It's just incredible. And the fact that, you guys built that app just because it needed to happen and put it out there, it's just like a perfect example of Kansas City ethos, right? When I first started using the app, I was like just kind of struck by its super simplicity, because we have a tendency, even me in Sculpture, to complicate because, right? Well, I can't be done yet. I have to add more. And we were talking earlier about the features you're going to add in like real time. And I mean that, really, what does a streetcar app need to do other than like tell you how to get there, tell you when it's coming, and tell you what you can eat or see nearby, right? So I think you guys did a great job of like leaving it super clean, super utilitarian, but it still looks nice.